Everyone, this is Teresa from Slow Paths Wellness. Today I wanted to talk about something called foreboding joy and the practice of gratitude and being able to relish joy. I got a lot of this information from a talk that was recorded by Sounds True, I think it's Sounds True Media, of Brene Brown. It's called Practicing Vulnerability, and you can find it a lot of times in libraries and definitely on Amazon. And in it she talks about the importance of vulnerability, how you can increase the amount of vulnerability you have in your life, and why that's a good idea. One of the sort of micro topics that she covered within that was called foreboding joy, and she described that as when you're doing something that creates a lot of joy, and she used as an example watching her children sleep, and how she had the tendency, and she found that other people also had the tendency in the middle of those very precious moments to kind of look for the catastrophe. So she said she'd be watching her children sleep and think how much she loved them and how amazing that was and how beautiful they were, and how just all of her heart just were tied up in these children of hers, and then think, and if something happened to them, it would just kill me. And she said that she believes that that's a way of shielding yourself from the vulnerability. It's like when you feel that kind of joy or love or closeness to a person or to an event. So, like sometimes if I see a beautiful sunrise, I'm like, I'm filled with awe. But then I'll think, but it's polluted. There's going to be air pollution all over it. Just a way to kind of take that intensity of emotion away because it makes us feel vulnerable. And so she's talked about ways of working with that. I've also heard some things from Dr. Rick Hansen about dealing with that, and so that you're not losing your joy by trying to protect yourself from the vulnerability that you feel when you have that. So one of the things that she talked about a lot is how when she talked to people who she thought of as being wholehearted based on her research and asked them how they handled that, they said they consciously would make the choice to lean into joy, to sink into joy, to allow themselves to feel that joy. And one of the ways they did that was by practicing gratitude. And gratitude is been proven, there's been lots of studies with it, that it actually increases your ability to withstand stress and withstand bad things. And she said that they would make a formal practice of it, these wholehearted people, and that she now does that herself. And that can be something like journaling. I know a lot of people keep a gratitude journal where they write, like 5 things that they're grateful for every day. It can be when you first wake up in the morning, or when you just before you go to bed, or at each meal, having the different people in the family say, these are things I'm thankful for. I know I've seen some things now at the end of the year is coming where they suggest that every day you write on a piece of paper something you're grateful for, or something that went well, and put it into a box or a jar. And at the end of the year, you pull that out and you read them all so that you see all the wonderful things that have happened in the course of the year. But any of those things, the gratitude will help with increasing your ability to feel joy and decreasing your tendency to try to put up barriers to it because you feel uncomfortable with the intensity of that emotion. And then another thing that you can do, which Rick Hansen calls savoring, and Brene Brown just talks of it as sinking into joy, and I think of it as relishing joy, is when you have those moments. And I go beyond joy. I go with anything that's a really pleasant thing, and that sparks gratitude in me. So a lot of times, if I have a really wonderful meal, just that taste of it, I'll just stop and go, okay, I'm going to just focus on just how wonderful this tastes. Or if I see something beautiful outside, like the sunrise I mentioned earlier, I'll just stop and focus on how the colors just really make my heart feel good. Or if I hug someone, that's just how wonderful it feels to be connected to somebody that I care about. And so any of those things, so when you're feeling something that is joyful, if you're feeling something that is wonderful, if you're in a group of friends and you just suddenly realize, oh wow, we're just all really happy to be in each other's company, instead of glossing over that and going to something, whether it's a positive or a negative, to stop and just really go, wow, I'm just going to enjoy how it feels to see people that are all together and are all enjoying each other and really liking who we are and how we work together. So for the mindfulness portion of today's video, I thought we would do some of that. So I want you to think of something that gives you a lot of joy, and it can be anything. It can be a piece of chocolate, it can be holding your child, it can be pick a movie that you really like, it can be seeing friends together, it can be a story on the news about someone helping another person. I know a lot of times some of those stories will make me cry because I'm just really touched by the kindness that people can show each other. And just find one of those things. It doesn't have to be anything big. I know one time, a long time ago, I was at a place that had a Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens where they would have butterflies, and I went in and a butterfly landed on me. Actually, several did, but one landed on my hand where I could see it, and I felt so chosen to have a butterfly just sitting right there. And so as I think about that, I think about how I felt very like I had to be very careful of this tiny little frail life, and that it gave me joy to feel like that little butterfly felt safe to land on my hand, and then I could see how pretty it was and see the colors on it, and just to go back to that moment and feel what that felt like, the physical sensations that felt. So pick your happy thing and just stand and get comfortable, or sit, however, whatever you're comfortable with. And now close your eyes and just allow yourself to feel as many parts of that memory as you can feel. So if yours is a gathering of friends and you remember that you could smell a cinnamon roll that you were all, eating, or the smell of grill smoke because you were at a restaurant, anything that will take you closer and closer into that moment where you felt joy, and just try to get all of those feelings, the color of the people across the table from you, the color of their shirt, anything like that that you can remember. Just sink into that and let yourself feel it. And we're going to do that for several seconds now, so probably at least 15 seconds or so. All right, so 1, 2, let's go in there and do that now. So just sink into that feeling and give yourself permission to just go right back to that particular moment and how it felt, especially all the different physical sensations, even more than what you were thinking at the time. What did that time sound like? What colors did you see? What did it feel like in your body to feel the warmth or cold, or the touch, or the way your heart felt from that? What did you see? What did you smell? Were there any tastes involved? Is there anything in particular that was a real clear, visceral sensation that you remember? Just go to that time and see and remember that time, and just let that sink into your nervous system. All right, now kind of wrap that up. Wrap up the last little memories that you may have. And now I'd like to invite you for the rest of today and the rest of this week, when you come upon something like that, and it can be anything, it can be something really small. I know sometimes I get this feeling of kind of crazily big triumph when I find a good parking space, or the thing I want at the grocery store, there's only one left and I see it and I'm able to get it. Anything like that, any moment where you just feel this little bit of joy, of happiness, of pleasure, of enjoyment, and make a commitment to yourself to, as much as possible, to give yourself an extra 5 seconds to let that feeling really sink into your nervous system. Because what we know about neuroscience now, about the way the brain and nervous system functions, is every time you give yourself that little tiny bit of enjoyment, you help your body, you help your nervous system to be better at handling stress. And when you're better at handling stress, your body is better at making the right hormones that it needs. It's better at digesting food. It's better at having its immune system work properly. It's better at handling stress in general. So when something big comes up that you really need to manage, when you have someone says something that you realize means there's going to be a difficult conversation, you have to have a confrontation, or somebody does something hurtful, if you have all of these joy memories and gratitude memories stored up and you're able to have those kind of as your foundation, it's so much easier to handle those stressful situations because you're coming from a place of feeling like really grounded and settled and safe. And that way, it's a much different problem to deal with this person because you don't feel like every single thing you have is on the line because you're stressed out and afraid most of the time. If you feel happy and grateful and joyful most of the time, it makes it much easier to navigate the difficult times. So that's Mindful Monday for today, and I hope you have a lovely week. I will see you next week.